So I guess I should have put the lights on both sides because I'm only lit from one side, but whatever. Here, I can turn this way. There we go. That's a little better. We have a bad background. But anyway, good morning. It's Friday, and today is Nanny's birthday, my mother's birthday. She is 84 today. Maybe I'm not supposed to tell her age, but I did. So I'm going to switch, and I'll post. Probably we'll do it tomorrow. We shall see. But we're not going to do tonight because we're having a family dinner, and I'm sure there'll be some bottles of wine and whatever. So we're going to have a celebration for Nanny. And she came to me this morning. She said, "Are you doing supporters tonight? You don't have to cancel it just because it's my birthday." I'm like, "We're having a family dinner." So, let's see. Exciting news at the farm. We have walls all the way around. Well, the framing of walls all the way around. They did the garage yesterday. So if the weather holds out, maybe we'll get those big trusses up and start working on a roof and closing in walls, and yay. So I wanted to talk for a minute about the dilated cardiomyopathy debacle that has been going on for, a couple of years at least. And it kind of quiets down and then it resurfaces. And for those of you who have been hiding under a rock and are not aware of what that is, dilated cardiomyopathy is a heart disease not the same that the small dogs get with the mitral valve disease. There's DCM and there's MVD, and they're two different things. So totally different. But a couple of cardiologists that are on the payroll of Purina and a couple of other big pet food companies made a connection a few years ago and said that dilated cardiomyopathy was being seen in more dogs than usual. And they asked the owners what they were feeding their dogs. And then suddenly they made a non-scientific connection that dogs fed grain-free diets were dying of dilated cardiomyopathy. Therefore, it must be the grain-free diets, and everyone should return to feeding big pet food names, the big three, that had grains in them. Well, okay, great. So they made a big splash. It was on all the news. It was on all the social media. And if you owned stock in Purina at the time, or Hills or Royal Canin, you made money. And if you own stock in Champion Pet Foods, which is Akana and Origin, you lost a boatload of money. People lost their jobs. Manufacturing plants for some of these pet food companies that make grain-free foods, some of them fired up to 50% of their employees. They lost up to 80% of their market share, some of these companies. And, then we start seeing in the news, big pet food companies are building new plants for $60 million. They'll bring 120 jobs to the community where they've decided to open up their new plants. Aren't they wonderful? Well, no, you're not wonderful if you grow by stepping on the backs of your competitors and smushing them to the ground with no evidence. So the FDA made a beautiful spreadsheet. Any of you can go look at the spreadsheet, and had like 500 dogs on it. Actually, dogs and cats, because there's some cats on there too. And the comments of, from the owners and, the veterinarians saying, what food they were eating. There was some thought that maybe this was a taurine deficiency brought about by feeding grain-free diets high in legumes and potatoes. But then we had dogs that were testing normal on their taurine levels, but still developing dilated cardiomyopathy. There was a huge number of golden retrievers. And so there is a theory that perhaps we have a genetic problem in golden retrievers. Has not been fully vetted out, has not been fully researched. But there are dog breeds on that list that I don't care what you feed them, they're genetically predisposed to dilated cardiomyopathy. Boxers, Irish Wolfhounds, Dobermans. If we look at those breeds genetically, I don't care what you feed them, they're genetically predisposed. So we need to look at that list a lot more critically. And here's the thing. there's probably 25 million minimum dogs and cats out there eating grain-free diets. And okay, 300 have heart disease. Wow. Let's look at the percentages, folks. Let's look at how things are skewed. And the FDA actually came out with a statement that said, we have found no conclusive evidence. They're kind of not really investigating at this point. So we have, and this came to surface again because in Indiana, there was a woman whose golden retriever has dilated cardiomyopathy and is under the care of a cardiologist and is improving with medications, blah, blah, blah. But of course, the cardiologist gave her the statement, and someone, sent me a message and said, don't you know? How can you not know that grain-free diets cause dilated cardiomyopathy? Here's the proof. And posted something from a couple of years ago that was no proof. It was the original post implicating these diets with no documentation. We say we want to follow science. We have no science. We have no science behind this statement. So here's who it's hurting. It is hurting some of the pet food companies that make grain-free diets. And believe me, I am not promoting grain-free kibble. I think it's the worst thing in the world you can feed your pet. Well, no, there are worse things that you can feed your pets. If you are feeding only a diet of dry kibble poured into a bowl when you walk away, and that's your convenience factor for the day, you're not feeding your pets correctly. That it's just a deficient diet all the way around. That's not what we need to be feeding our pets. And feeding a diet that is 60% peas and lentils and legumes, no, that's not good nutrition for our pets. So believe me, I am not defending the companies that's how they make their food. But who I am defending? The workers that work for those companies that lost their jobs with no evidence of this being true. I'm defending the independent pet stores who have been selling the more expensive higher end foods and suddenly they're losing huge margins. They're losing huge amount of sales because everybody wants to go back to feeding crap in the grocery store that's filled with grains because that's what these cardiologists are pushing. Grains do not contain taurine. Cats get nothing from those grains. Dogs fairly effectively can make taurine from the amino acids in the grains. But that's not what our animals are supposed to be eating. Our animals are supposed to be eating a high meat diet and they'll get all the taurine they need. So this is a plea not to support grain-free kibble. This is a plea to support your independent retailer. A lot of them are contacting me and saying, what do I do? Especially in Indiana. This just came out on the news. Everybody's running in our store returning their raw diets, returning their high-end diets and saying, no, I need something with grain in it. What a bunch of malarkey. You do not need to feed grain. I get people every day sending me emails and messages. My veterinarian yelled at me and says, I have to add grain to my dog's diet. What grain do I add? You're kidding me. You're kidding me. The veterinarians are buying into something that is absolutely not proven and wrong. Oh man, Soapbox Thursday and Soapbox Friday? Ugh. Man, I can start drinking in the morning. Okay. Frustrating. So please support your independent retailers. I know it's easy to order off of Chewy.com, owned by Mars, by the way. I know it's easy to order things online. I order a lot of food online. But we need to support our independent retailers. Those guys are the lifeblood of the pet business. They need your support. So please do not buy into this. Your dog and cat has to have rice and corn in their food. They don't. Corn is filled with aflatoxins. Lots of recalls, lots of deaths, aflatoxins, corn, grains, legumes. Don't need them. Don't need them. I'm going with the high meat diets, guys. Support your raw food producers, the freeze-dried raw, the frozen raw, the gently cooked foods that are not loaded with carbs. There's a lot of those new gently cooked foods that are loaded with carbs. Okay. Oh, jeez. I need to chillax in the morning. All provide, yeah, go. All provide answers, raised right. There's good foods out there, folks. Good foods. Make your own cookbooks. I'm trying to support my friends in the small, independent pet store businesses. They deserve our support. I'd bring you a real dog, but supporters, I'll post something. We'll figure it out.